Hey everyone, my name is Jose Perez Clara. I'm on the data management team here at KETIV, and come along with me to install SQL. It's one of the first steps that you'll need to do in order to get Vault Professional installed. So like, follow, and subscribe, and come along on this mini series as we get Vault installed on a new server. One of the first things you'll want to do when installing SQL is figure out the version that you'll want to install, whether that's Express, Standard, or Enterprise. Express being the free version, but coming with a 10 gigabyte limit, while Standard and Enterprise are paid versions, but they no longer adhere to that limit. Depending on the size of your vault, whether it's a brand new vault or you're migrating from a previous environment, will dictate whether you need to use a free version or a paid version. The other thing that you'll need to look into here is the year that you'll be using of SQL. One of the things you'll want to look for is the system requirements for Vault Professional 2025 or Vault Basic 2025, like I did in this case. One of the things you can do is actually just go to any of your browsers and look up Vault 2025, 24 system requirements, and Autodesk has them listed out very neatly in their website. So if you scroll down here, under database servers, you'll find that for Vault 2025, you have SQL 2017, SQL 2019, and SQL 2022 available, both in Express, Standard, and Enterprise versions. Those are all accepted or available to use with Vault 2025. Once you've established what version of SQL you need to install, you can go ahead and download the installation media for SQL Express. That one, like I said, is free. You can download it straight from the Microsoft website, or if you need to purchase a license of Standard or Enterprise, that will be pretty much downloaded through the purchasing website. So depending on what you need, you'll need to obtain those installation files. For Express, like I mentioned, I was able to download that previously, so I'm able to go through the installation process here. So we're gonna go ahead and start by installing 2017. So you run the installation media, you come up to this page here, and you have a couple of options, whether you're doing a basic installation, a custom installation, or you want to download the media. Personally, with more control over the environment and the installation itself, I would go with download media, and that will give you the ability to download the actual package to your machine. So here you'll see that I'm able to download the core, which is for Vault, should be the only thing that you need, and go ahead and download it down to your environment. Once that's installed here, or once that's downloaded here, you're able to go to that folder, which is still that download folder, and actually run the installation media. It'll give you another option to extract those files. You'll see here I'm extracting the 2017 Express installation files, and that will give me the option to install a brand new database in this environment. Once you have it downloaded, you can exit out of that downloader itself, because what we really need is this SQL Server Installation Center. Now you have a couple of options here. We'll touch more on this upgrade from previous version option in a little bit here, but since this is a brand new environment, we want to go ahead and install the Autodesk Vault instance, is what it's known in SQL. So to do that, we'll start off at this very top here in the installation environment. We're going to install a new SQL Server standalone installation. That'll go ahead and launch the installation. License terms, these are the things that we always read through. So of course I've read this multiple times. I'm going to go ahead and accept them. Go ahead and hit next. It goes through some of its testing just to make sure that the environment that we're installing on is good to go. You install the instance root directory here, or sorry, you select the instance root directory here depending on your company's security IT protocols that may need to be installed in different locations. In our case, we're installing it on the C drive, which is where one of the drives that this environment has. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. One of the things before I hit next, one of the things you want to make sure is that we're installing a database engine service as well as the SQL Server replication. Whether you're installing Vault Basic or whether you're installing Vault Professional, SQL Server replication may be in your plans moving forward. So it always, in my opinion, it's always good to have it installed and at the ready. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. In this instance configuration window, what you want to do is give the SQL that we're installing a name. As of 2023, the SQL instance name had to be a certain name for Vault to recognize it. After 2023, we're able to actually give the SQL instance whatever name we want. Out of best practice and just to make sure that it's recognized by any database administrator that goes in here, we still like to give it the Autodesk Vault instance name. But again, depending on the IT protocols that you may have, that may need to be named differently. So we're going to go here and again, make sure that named instance is selected, and we're going to give it the Autodesk Vault name. Once you type it out, you'll see that the instance ID doesn't update until you click out of that original line, and then you'll see the Autodesk instance ID update to the name that we gave it. I'm going to go ahead and hit next here. All through this installation, you'll see that it'll keep doing some checks to make sure that the environment is still good. As far as service accounts, you'll want to make sure that both of these here are set to automatic. More times out of not, if it'll start these processes or these use these accounts whenever it's necessary. But if you set it to automatic, it'll be ready to receive whatever information or whatever task SQL has in store for that account. Go ahead and hit next here. Here is a big part, which is security. We want to make sure that we enable mixed mode, and that's because Vault uses a SQL local account or a SQL account that only exists in the SQL environment. And that's the SA account that you'll see noted here. And by default, Vault uses a password that can be actually found in the installation documentation. It's kind of hard to explain over here verbally, but if you need that password, feel free to reach out to us and we can jump on a call and make sure that all of this is sorted out. So you install, you type out that default password. Again, this is the password that Vault will need whenever it goes to do its installation. You can come into data directories. This is, again, either preference or IT protocol, right? So right now we're installing everything on C. We're keeping everything in that root directory of C. But if your environment requires the database to be split up into multiple drives, this is the location that you would go ahead and dictate where those drives are and how those drives are referenced. But going back into server configuration, not only do we want to set the password for SA, we want to make sure that we have a local Windows account added to this. You'll see here that we have a KETIV admin account, and this is what we use to access this server. This is important because if at any point the SA account gets locked out, you'll want to have a separate account to be able to log into the database and either troubleshoot or unlock the SA account that's having issues. This doesn't have to be just one account. If you have a IT group or you have multiple people that you want to have this backdoor access per se, you can go ahead and add them and search for their accounts in this window. But once we're happy with our security details, go ahead and move forward with the installation. So this may take a while depending on the speeds of your machine or your server. So let's go ahead and fast forward here to when it's done. All right, so green check marks. That's what you want to see. If you see any red check marks or any failures, feel free to reach out to us here at KETIV, and we can definitely assist you in getting SQL Server installed on your new server. But you have completed one of the very first steps in getting Vault installed on a brand new environment. We have SQL Server 2017 installed, and we're ready to install Vault Professional. But what if you already have SQL 2017 installed, or what if you have an older version of SQL installed on your machine? If you need to get that up to 2019, which is also supported on Vault 2025, we can definitely do that as well. So let's go ahead and go through that process. So if you have SQL Server installed already in your environment and you need to upgrade it to a new version of SQL, you can go ahead and do that by downloading the version of SQL that you need to install. In this case, we installed 2017 SQL Server on this new environment, but we need to get it up to SQL 2019, right? So I went ahead and downloaded SQL 2019 here. We're going to go ahead and run that. Very similar to how we did 2017, excuse me. We're going to go ahead and download the media. We only need the core, and we're going to go ahead and download that from the internet. Once we have it here, we're going to go ahead and extract it. Again, we can close out of the downloader once we have all the installation files. But we're going to go ahead and open up the folder, and we see SQL 2019 down here. So we're going to go ahead and run this. And again, we're going to clean up our environment here. Just going to go ahead and close out of this since we already have it downloaded while we wait for SQL Server 2019 to start up. We're going to go ahead and extract this. And the installation window you'll see is very similar to 2017, except it's changed up. So that makes it relatively easy to find your way around here. Again, if you're doing a brand new instance installation, you can click on the button up here, and that'll allow you to go through the process that we did with 2017. But in this case, what we're going through is an upgrade of SQL versions. So we're going to come down here and we're going to click upgrade from a previous version of SQL. That'll bring up the installation window, similar again to 2017, but it goes through its process of checking for some updates to see if there's any available. And then it goes through its checks to try to find the instance that you may want to upgrade. It has us agree to the licensing terms like always. So we're going to go ahead and accept those and hit next. And then what's really nice is it lists out the possible instances that you can upgrade. In this case, we only have one available, which is the 2017 one that we installed previously. So we're allowed to pick that from the list. One thing to keep in mind here is if you don't see the instance name that you're expecting, I would check the version that it's coming from, make sure that it's not already on the version that you want to upgrade it to, because then it won't show up on the list. In this case, we were sure that it was on SQL Server 2017, so that we knew we could go to SQL Server 2019. Once we have the instance that we want, we can go ahead and hit next. The next steps here will just be confirming to make sure that the features that we want are still installed and we're still moving forward. In this case, again, we have the database engine services enabled, as well as SQL Server replication. Once it's done going through its checks here, we'll be able to keep going through the upgrade process. And then once again, depending on the speed of your server and the resources that it has, this upgrade process may take a while or may be super fast. So we're going to go ahead and speed this up and get to the end. All right, and we have green check marks again. So again, good signs. If you do see those failures again or any red X's, feel free to reach out to us here at KETIV, and we'll be happy to help you guys get SQL Server installed. But again, upgrading from a previous version of SQL to a newer one can be a step that's necessary depending on the environment that you're working on or the environment that you're trying to set up for your Vault. So you just completed one of the initial steps in getting Vault Professional installed in a new environment. Join me next time as we go through the actual installation of Vault Professional 2025 in this new server.